Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into one of the hottest, most debated stories in finance, the absolutely explosive surge in the price of silver and where on earth it goes from here.
So, here's the billion-dollar question, or maybe the $100 question. After an absolutely wild ride in 2025, is silver really going to hit that historic $100 an ounce milestone in 2026? Is that a real possibility or just a speculative fantasy?
To even understand how we got here, how $100 is even in the conversation, you have to start with this number: 170%. That was the mind-blowing return silver posted in 2025. It was fueled by what just about everyone is calling a perfect storm of market forces.
All right, so let's get into it. This wasn't some slow, steady climb. Nope. This was a rocket ship that just shattered all the old records. So, what exactly got us here? Let's break down the powerful forces at play.
I mean, just look at this timeline. After starting the year under $30, silver went completely vertical in the last few weeks of 2025. You're talking about a jump from $60 to over $77 in, less than a month? That's the kind of speed that makes absolutely everyone sit up and pay attention.
Okay, so what in the world is behind this? Well, the bull case, the whole argument for prices going even higher, really boils down to one simple, powerful collision. You've got demand that's just skyrocketing, smashing into a supply that's getting tighter and tighter.
And this right here, this is what makes silver's story so unique. See, gold is pretty straightforward. It's mostly a monetary asset. But silver is living a double life. On one hand, it's that precious metal you buy as a safe haven, right? But on the other, it's a critical industrial metal that's literally consumed by our modern world.
And I'm not exaggerating. In fact, look at this. Over half of all silver demand comes from industrial uses. This isn't just about people stacking bars in a vault somewhere. This is about silver being put to work, inside the very tech that powers our day-to-day lives.
And here's the kicker. This industrial demand isn't slowing down. In fact, it's accelerating. Think about it. The massive global shift to green energy, to more advanced tech, it's creating this absolutely ravenous appetite for silver. We're talking solar panels, electric vehicles, the data centers that run AI. Silver is essential. It's totally indispensable.
And this is such a crucial point to understand. Once that little bit of silver goes into a solar panel or a microchip, it's basically gone. It's consumed. It's not coming back into the available supply. That's a huge difference from gold, where pretty much every ounce ever mined is still out there, just in a different form.
So, you've got this insatiable demand exploding on one side, and on the other, well, the world is really struggling to pull enough new silver out of the ground to keep up.
And this is the number you need to remember for the supply side: 5. For 5 straight years, the silver market has been in what's called a structural deficit. That means for half a decade now, we've used more silver than we've actually mined. We've been dipping into our savings, so to speak, just to fill the gap.
So you're probably asking, why can't the mines just produce more? Well, the challenge is you can't just flip a switch for more silver. See, most of it, like 70 to 75%, is just a byproduct. It comes out of the ground when miners are actually looking for other stuff like copper or zinc. So even with these sky-high silver prices, miners can't just decide to ramp up production. It's a slow, super expensive, and really complicated process. Okay, so that's the bull case. But when you see a price chart go parabolic like silver's did, it's no surprise that some analysts are starting to get nervous and flash some serious warning signs.
And this quote from an analyst at StoneX really captures that growing fear, especially among the big institutional players. Silver has entered extreme overbought territory. What they're saying is they're worried the market is totally disconnected from the fundamentals and is now just being driven by pure speculative mania.
Yeah, and the technical analysts are pointing to the risk of something they call a blow-off top. You've probably seen it before. It's that classic chart pattern where an asset goes completely vertical in one final euphoric wave right before it collapses under its own weight. The correction that follows can be incredibly fast and, frankly, pretty brutal.
And here's the great irony in all of this. The other huge risk is something called thrifting. Basically, when prices get this high, it could actually force manufacturers to get creative and find ways to use less silver or maybe even replace it with cheaper stuff like copper. So the high price could end up destroying the very industrial demand that helped push it up in the first place.
And this table, wow, it just perfectly captures the huge divide in the market right now. You've got Main Street,
retail investors who are just wildly bullish. A majority of them expect silver to blow past $100. And then you have Wall Street, the major banks, who are way more cautious. Their forecasts are hovering much closer to that $60 mark.
So, this all brings us to the big question for 2026, right? Where does silver go from here? Does that powerful fundamental story win the day? Or does all this speculative heat lead to a massive reversal?
And I mean, just look at the forecasts for 2026. They are truly all over the map. You've got the conservative bank averages sitting around $60. You have the bullish target of $100. And then you have some speculative computer models predicting prices as high as $247. That massive range just shows you how uncertain and wild this market has become.
So at the end of the day, the core conflict is crystal clear. On one side, you've got this incredibly powerful long-term story, right? A structural supply deficit is slamming head-on into the unstoppable demand from the global green energy and tech revolutions.
But on the other side, you have a market that's showing all the classic signs of being way overbought. It's facing the very real risk of a sharp pullback, and maybe even seeing its own high price destroy some of that crucial industrial demand.
And that leaves us with one final provocative question. Are we seeing the start of a whole new era for silver as this critical 21st century metal, or is this just a classic speculative bubble that's waiting for a pin? The answer to that is going to be one of the most exciting market stories to watch in 2026.